of the KOKOLIRIKO live show with me, Farish Majid, and it's a Wednesday at the 11th of the month of November. The year is surely coming to an end, but how is it coming to an end on your side? And what are the plans and your achievements so far? These are the questions you should be asking at this period of time. And so if at all you haven't achieved any, you can now be able to also strategize and still achieve those you can still be in position to achieve as the year is ending. We still have some few days. You never know, things may also turn around also for you as the year is coming to an end. Meanwhile, for those who think that this year should just go, it is also very much important for you to start making plans for next year. So that's only from January 1st, you start also making sure that you work towards those plans. And also at the end of the day, you achieve what you want to achieve. And that is how we shall be seeing also us achieving what we want to achieve. And that will also at the end of the day put us very forward in terms of also making our lives better in there. And that is exactly what we want to do. And then if somebody may be asking, what made you a year? And what is the biggest story that could have made you a year this year is also another question you should be asking yourself. Oh, what are some of those activities that you feel shouldn't happen next year is also very, very much important for you to also be weighing, because this period is now for weighing and assessing what exactly could have gone wrong. It is something also which I feel is very much important for you as the viewer of West Nile TV, therefore to make sure that you are in position to also work towards those also initiatives. And that is how we shall be also in position to make sure that we achieve whatever we would want to achieve next year. And the plans must start be drawn right now. You must start drawing those plans right now, and also by that time you just start working towards them. And I really want to say you must also start making sure that you work for those plans right from January. So many things going to happen, of course. I really want to say, as people of West Nile sub-region, we still see a lot happening, and that means we are working towards all that. So many issues are happening. We are seeing also many people already working towards achieving those things. We are seeing the politicians on ground. We are seeing those also who want to aspire, expressing interest already. All that is happening in this period, and this is also against the rules and also of this country, because the Electoral Commission has not yet officially granted time for campaigns. Though the roadmap is partially out, that means we are not yet also officially allowed to campaign. But of course, we are now seeing people declaring interest for positions also ahead of the period in there. But all in all, it is you to also judge them. And somebody was earlier on telling me that they have not been seeing the politicians, but now they are seeing them in every function. Those who have been residing in Kampala are back. They are now moving on, and this also goes back to them. It is actually you ask for salt from them, and you as the voters are the ones asking for the small monies, who at the end of the day make it very much difficult for these politicians who would have also served you with integrity to also go back, because it becomes business. I give you and I intend to get back. That is how politics is all about. So it goes back to you, the voters, most especially the electorates. Let's avoid the issues of electoral monetization. And this is where I needed also the electoral reforms, because up to now, the electoral reforms are not also out. They have not also been conducted. And I wouldn't also want to see the issue of monetization go on come 2026, because now the mindset is that you give me your money, I'll give you my vote. What about those good leaders who don't have the monies? Because money is something not everybody is going to be blessed with, but then somebody may be having the ability, somebody may be having also maybe the potential to represent you, but they don't have the monies. So I think it's really very much important for us to sort of be making sure that we don't ask for money right from the lower positions of the lower councils up to the president. Let's avoid issues of money as first, as a priority also for voting in there, so we do not also be termed as people who sell our votes, and so that also these people, once they go through, they never think of recovery, because rumor has that some people already spent close to billions, but it is not the time for elections. What if that period comes? As we are hearing stories, if they are true, if at all the stories we're hearing are true, that people have already spent millions and millions of money, and others almost spending close to billions. And that means when the time comes, they would also wish to recover this monies back, because it's business. But it goes back to the electorates, and that is where sometimes I don't expect the locals to complain about certain issues undertaken at the top level. It is you who influence them. It is we, the electors, who sometimes make them do the way they do. So I think it's also very much important for us to solely be able to solely underlook some of those issues, and that is how at the end of the day we shall be seeing our country changing. And if we want development, then the issue of electoral reforms, in my own opinion, would be very much critical, and we would also need this yesterday, so solely when that period comes. People do not also really rely on monies to sell their votes, and that is how we would also be able to see issues of electoral monetization end, because this is another issue that really is biting the country, but we are all quiet about it, and we're not doing something about it, and yet we are losing out good leaders who would also represent us and also make our society change. Simply because they don't have the monies, they are now being pushed out, and that is exactly what's happening in our society. But really, we are saying this shouldn't be the case. We want to see that also really ending, but this is something also which we did see yesterday, and we hope at the right time also more of that discussion will be coming through also in the subsequent also editions of the show as we continue to maneuver and also talk about these issues of the electoral reforms. That is how we are seeing that, and remember, also we did see the many parties already launching their strategies ahead of 2026 general election. Now the NRM recently launched their digitization process, where also they are registering their members. That is also into a new also online platform, and that is exactly what we are seeing also happening in the country. As we did see DP also having a press briefing, also that is also for their by their candidate, also that is Norbert Mao, who is the minister in there, and that is some of the issue. And we did see happening yesterday, and we remember also the trial of that is retired Colonel Kizza Besigye was also happened yesterday, and we did see him being pushed up to January. Really, we are still seeing this happening, and this is something where we did see Law Society of Kenya, Mal's ban of Ugandan lawyers over rejection of Martha Karua's temporary practice in Uganda, which was only rejected also by the locals of Uganda. Now the Law Society of Kenya has strongly criticized the Uganda's Law Council for rejecting senior counsel Martha Karua's application for a temporary practicing certificate, and considering also really barring Ugandan advocates from practicing in Kenya. And this is something which we are seeing, but where does that leave the two countries at? Because many people feel this case is politically influenced. What do we also think about it, and where do we think this will be putting the two countries at? Should we say in future, if at all, we shall be seeing Ugandan lawyers being barred from also really maybe practicing in Kenya as illegal? Shall we term that also illegal? Definitely, that is also something which many also could be able to solely share their thoughts on. And now in the statement solely issued by yesterday by also the LSK president, that's Faith Odhiambo, described the Ugandan Law Council's decision as derogatory, contemptuous, and also high-handed, and that is exactly what we did see the lady also terming the Ugandan's law system as. And she further noted that the move undermines the long-standing spirit of mutual cooperation that is between Kenya and Ugandan legal fraternities. And remember, we share the same, also we share a lot with also the Kenyan government when it comes to the law system, because first of all, we are all countries under the Commonwealth, and we do also share a lot when it comes to also with our neighbors Kenya, and this is where many people feel the differences in our laws are a bit minimal, and that means practicing also by a Kenyan lawyer in Uganda shouldn't also be made difficult. And now the LSK has announced plans to engage Kenya's Attorney General to address the matter, and is mulling the suspension of Ugandan lawyers, admission to the Kenyan also bar until also what we call reciprocal arrangements are firmly established, and highlighting also Kenya's openness to regional integration. The LSK pointed that that many Ugandan lawyers have historically been allowed to practice in Kenya, making Uganda's actions particularly disappointing. Now that's exactly what we did see in this case of retired Colonel Kizza Besigye, where we did also see some lawyers being arrested, and we are able to see Dr. Kizza Besigye's trial also postponed also to January also in there. And that is something which we did see happening, and many people have not been happy about this, but definitely we shall be continuing with the discussions and to see how, of course, this matter will be proceeding. And we are still following up keenly and want to see how, of course, this matter will be put to an end, because many people have not been feeling happy to see the retired army man being, first of all, tried at the General Court Martial, and then secondly, his crime also was committed in another country. Many people have not been happy about that, and we have seen lawyers talking very, very much about this. But where does this leave the two countries at is the question also which I want to ask myself this morning. How shall we, at the end of the day, maybe react in Kenya once arrested? And how do we think that we shall be treated? Because, first of all, this lady also was able to complain about the way she was being treated. First of all, of harassment, where they were thoroughly checked, something which she also wasn't happy about. And many people also have been able to talk about that. But we did see police also admitting, also detaining Best lawyer who was reported abducted. And now we did see this case also proceeding with also abductions here and there. Now police in Kampala have said they are holding one of the lawyers of veteran opposition leader, that is only Dr. Kiza Besje, hours after reports emerged that he had been abducted by men in uniform. And this is also in the wee hours of Tuesday morning ahead of the four-time presidential contender's appearance at the General Court Martial. Remember, this man is said to be having a team of about 40 lawyers who are supposed to be led by Martha Karua, the former Justice Minister for Kenya, who has now been rejected a temporary also practicing license to practice in Uganda. However, that is where we did see now arrest issues of arrest proceeding. We were able to solely see cases of abductions happening, but this is really very much embarrassing, most especially in this case that has attracted public attention, most especially across the globe, where many people have been able to follow this case in the different parts of the world. Where does this leave Uganda's justice system at? And what are many people going to be thinking about this? Is where entirely you have your opinion of thought. You can also be able to share and also think what exactly can be done to avert this matter as we are running for our first commercial break. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board this early morning of Wednesday. In case you are still on bed, I want to say you have to wake up and start also moving to your various destinations, because usually the saying is that it's the first bird that catches the fly. That means you must make sure that you are among the first persons who reach your places of hustle, and that is where you will be able to sort of catch the fly in there. But for now, we take a short commercial break. When we bounce back, we shall be able to continue with the discussions. My name is Farish Majid. Stay tuned. We get back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Unwrap your holiday cheers with StarTimes this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. StarTimes gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas. This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from the short commercial break. We are back into the second half of the show, and this is still a KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid. And earlier on, we were talking about very many issues. We talked about the issue of Bessege's trial. First of all, that was deferred for hearing up to, that is January, something which did not also move on well with a section of the members of the public, with many also expressing also dismay that the man who already retired from the army is already being tried. That is at the military court. Remember, the lawyers have been also demanding for compensation also, that is also as this case is being proceeded with, and we hope at the end of the day that this man also will be also freed, if at all his case is freeable, and that is exactly what we want also to see. And at the end of the day, we shall be also seeing that case proceeding. We shall be also keeping you informed as we also continue with some of these issues, and that is how at the end of the day we want to make sure that you as the viewer is not left out of any issue. We want to make sure that you are touched across all, and that is why the show is always coming your ways every Mondays to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, where so many issues are going to happen. And I do understand many people have been following this case, and now we did see that the two will be also spending Christmas in prison. Very much unfortunate that they wouldn't also spend Christmas and the New Year with their families, and that is how sad it is. And remember, the veteran opposition steward, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and his co-accused, that is Hajo Bedutale, will have to spend the Christmas season and the New Year in prison after their case was remanded until January 7th of 2025. This is what we did see yesterday, when his case will be returning to court for another mention, and this is exactly what we did see happening, and very much challenging. And the long also the adjournment was granted after the state reasoned that a shorter one also of a week that Besigye's defense team had requested for was not sufficient also to reorganize their team. This is exactly what court was able to say. Remember, this case was meant for hearing the other time, and a week ago, where we did see the lawyers also requesting for an extension. So they would also go back and reorganize themselves together and also come on board to make sure that they present the issues. And this 1 week was actually meant for what we call also Martha Karua's practicing license in Uganda to be followed up on, which was of course rejected yesterday, a few minutes and a few hours also to do the hearing. And this is how difficult it was, and we hope at the right time also we shall be also talking about these issues. And many people have also expressed dismay about the same issue as well, but we are keenly following up on. We want to see how, of course, this will be ending, and the long adjournment also is there, and we did see Mr. Elias Lukwago, senior counsel, also representing also the defense lawyer of about 40 members, also submitted also that they could not also proceed with the case following the denial of temporary practicing certificate for their designated lead counsel, that is Martha Karua, a Kenyan opposition steward and a former justice minister who is supposed to also lead the defense team in Uganda. And this is where to also to make sure that they follow up on this case. And we did see Lukwago asking court led by Brigadier Robert Mugabe Freeman to adjourn the proceedings to enable them to organize themselves and get instructions already from their clients, that is Dr. Kiza Besje and Lutale, on who they lead as defense team, given the new developments. And the duo's court appearance came just hours after the Uganda Law Council rejected Martha Karua's also application for temporary practicing certificate to allow her lead Dr. Kiza Besje's defense team. And the defense team is comprising about 40 lawyers. This is exactly what we are seeing. Now, the Law Council, among others, claimed that Ms. Martha Karua had demonstrated so that she would also bring any legal expertise to the 4-time presidential contenders legal team of 40 also lawyers representing. Now declared her intentions to practice law in Uganda we are more political than professional in nature. And now Dr. Besje and his aide Haji Obed Lutale were on November 16th of this year arrested and allegedly also abducted from Kenyan capital, Nairobi, where they had gone for the book launch belonging to, that is Martha Karua, and then brought to Uganda on allegations of possession of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, and also really wanting to destabilize the country. This is the crime also for which they are being tried, that is at the General Court Martial sitting in Machindia at this period of time. We are still following up on, and we of course want to see how this will be ending. Many people have been talking about this, and this is exactly now what we are also following up on. We want to see how, of course, it will be ending. And at the right time, we shall be seeing this matter be disposed of as we get to move on. And this is how we are still following up on it, and want to see how, of course, it will be ending. And at the right time, we also will see this matter also ending. Now, Kiza Besje, together with these co-accused, have sued Kenya and East Uganda and in East Africa Court. This is another story that we did see recently in as far as this matter is concerned. And that is how we are still following up and want to see how this matter will be ending. Because first of all, he was picked from another country and then tried in another country. Do the laws permit this? This is also what many people have been talking about, first of all, in relation to the East African laws, which many people also have not been able to talk about. Let's also look at it from the perspective of the international laws. Is it permissible? Is it allowed for this trial also to be able to be done at that level in there? And this is how we also would also want to see you share your ideas and share your thoughts also as we are moving on with the discussions in relation to the arrest of the retired Colonel, that is Kiza Besje, also in there. And that is exactly what we are following up on, and we shall be also letting you know how, of course, this will be ending at the right time, and how we shall also be able to also see that also moving on. And this is exactly what we are following up on, and we hope this matter also will be brought also to limelight in the shortest period of time also in there. And that is how we are keenly following up on it, and we hope this matter will be rested once and for all. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show. In case you're just joining us right now, you are most welcome aboard, and this is the Wednesday edition. And tomorrow we are also going to be continuing discussions, and we shall also be there to let you know of those developments in the country, as also you are not left out. And our intentions are clear. First of all, to enlighten the region, and therefore we are not going to be doing that alone. It must be me and you to do that, and that means you therefore have to make sure that you are always part of the discussions every Mondays to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And this is how we are going to be seeing that. Now, that's exactly what we did see. We did see also the President Museveni saying, stop wasting time on foreign football clubs. Museveni also tells graduates, and this is exactly what we did see, where President Museveni, who was represented by the Vice President Jessica Lupo, indicated that the problem of Africa is not natural resources but developing human capital, and this is human resources to take advantage of, where he did ask the young people to avoid wasting time on foreign clubs. This is exactly what we did see, and as a young person, can you really live without supporting some of these foreign clubs. Let's talk about Arsenal. Let's talk about Manchester United. Let's talk about Liverpool. These are the talks most especially amongst the young people. And this is exactly what keeps many young people busy. Let's look at sports. Today, it is not just sport as it is. For leisure, like how it used to be, it's a form of employment opportunity for many people today. We have people who are working as footballers. They are earning from that. We have sports agents who are earning a lot of money from that. We have people who are doing betting. We have betting companies that are employing many people. So I think it's also a form of employment opportunity today for many people. That means sports is no longer just sports for many, but it is business. But now President Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, has warned the young people and asked the university graduates from Chambogo to stop wasting time watching the European English Premier League and shift their efforts to supporting the government program solely to plan for the country. And this is exactly what we did see the head of state also talking about. Now the president, who was presented by the vice president, Ms. Jessica Lupo, indicated that the problem of Africa is not natural resources, but developing human resources to take advantage of them. And this is exactly what we did see happening. Now, according to the president, some small countries without natural resources, like the ones also Uganda has, are more also developed and richer, citing an example of Japan, which lacks natural resources and land for agriculture, but is very rich. He also cited China and India, which said also have developed because of their robust human resource base, adding that the two countries produce on large scale and are big consumers. And this is exactly what we are seeing. But how can we reach the same level as these two countries is what we must also be able to talk about. We must also be able to make strategies towards, and that would at the end of the day make sure that we achieve whatever we also achieve. Now, while also addressing the graduates, the university vice chancellor, that is Professor Eli Katunguka, revealed that the institution also is set to construct student hostels with 5,000 rooms and also to accommodate more than 10,000 students, so as to provide a conducive learning environment for the students. And Professor Katunguka added, we are also mobilizing the alumni of Chambogo University to partner with the university in the construction of the student center, and the facility will therefore host guild houses and office of the dean of students, in addition to providing routine amenities for students such as shops, beautification facilities, and indoor games also for the students also within the facility in there. Now the University Chancellor, Professor Okedi John, also indicated plans to develop and review undergraduate and graduate programs, among others already underway, and this is exactly what we did see, where a total of, that is 2,699 students from the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, School of Vocational Studies, School of Arts and Industrial Solid Design, and Faculty of Agriculture expect to graduate. That is today, and this will be followed by 3,242 students from the Faculty of Social Sciences, and this is also the Faculty of Science, School of Computing and Environment Science, and as well as School of Built Environment to graduate also, that is tomorrow. And on the last day, we shall be seeing that is 2,634 students from the School of Education, a Faculty of Engineering, and the Institute of Distance Learning, as well as e-learning, will also graduate also in this exercise. And now during the 4-day graduation ceremony, the university will therefore solely confer at least 8 PhDs. And somebody was able to ask, what are these 8 PhDs bringing on board for Uganda? Because these are PhDs now. If you reach the level of also obtaining PhD, that means you are more than just somebody. You have also respect and you are expected to deliver a lot. But somebody was able to ask, what are these 8 graduates? I was able to read a quote. That was in one of the papers. What are they bringing on board for Uganda? That means we are expecting them to deliver, and this is because we know they have been prepared. They must have also undertaken a lot of research, because for you to also graduate as a PhD holder, it is not an easy thing. So what are they bringing on board necessarily for Uganda? And if you look at also Chambogo, the university will also be producing, that is 219 master's degrees. These are in various fields. What are they bringing for this country? Because our problems sometimes now need what we call developed minds, or what we call skilled minds. It is not now maybe what we call hardware. We need software now. This is also where now we need these people to also really come up and show us that indeed they are the ones. And Chambogo University is also a university, one of the universities that has been known for producing excellent also academicians, and definitely we are waiting to see how they will be also serving the country and what they will be bringing on board for this country in there. And this is how we shall be also continuing. And these questions will also be asked also as we see them also coming up. And this is what exactly we are seeing. And we hope at the right time also we shall be seeing that also happening. And that is how we also continue with the discussions. And we hope at the end of the day this is also going to be a plus for us. And as we get move on, remember we are just left 10 minutes to wind up with this hour. And we hope at the right time we shall be seeing also this also strategizing, and this is exactly what we also going to be. Now, Kabbalah's head teacher looks out also for the vulnerable learners. Is another sad story we're seeing, and this is also that is something also what we are seeing happening. And many people today do not also really understand that many vulnerable children, how they are suffering. We have orphans, we have children living with disability. All these are vulnerable community members. What about those who are also from those poor families? It means that these are also the category, or part of the category of what we call the vulnerable. So I think it's so very much important for us to also be able to also talk about this, as we are seeing Etish and Kabarole also looking out for those vulnerable children. And this is exactly what we also want to see happening. We must support the vulnerable children, and this is also the one thing also which we must make sure that also God gives us as one of the hearts. Because if God gives you a bad heart, then definitely you are not going to be thinking about supporting these children. And that is how, at the end of the day, we are going to be also very, very much challenging. Now, journalists have been urged to prepare for 2026 polls. What are we expecting? Are we expecting trouble? Are we expecting military batterings? Are we expecting also caviar? Are we expecting running here and there like how we have seen it in the other recent elections? Definitely, I would also want to say no, we must be prepared. Because during the election period, we tend to witness a lot of issues happening. Now the journalists have been urged also to prepare for that period. Now the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders has also urged journalists to keep themselves adequately as the country approaches, that is the 2025 election campaigns. And now, while commemorating the International Human Rights Defenders Day in Kampala yesterday, Mr. Robert Sempala, the Executive Director of Uganda Human Rights Network for Journalists, said during the campaigns, police and army also often perceive journalists as inciters of violence, and that is why sometimes they become a target, most especially for the men in uniform. And that is why now, as journalists, we must make sure that we equip ourselves also for that period. So by the time they will also want to grab us, they will not find us, and we shall be out. And he also asked the media houses to ensure journalists are equipped with safety and security skills. That means, as the owners of these media houses, it is also very much important for you to buy helmets, for your journalists to also buy what we call bulletproof jackets, also for these journalists. And that is how, at the end of the day, we also are going to be also maybe equipped and also prepared for this period. But above all, my reminder to the journalists is that there is no story worth your life. It's a reminder. Many journalists understand that saying, and that is where, at the end of the day, it must always be a priority. It must always be at the back of your mind that there's no life worth your story. There's no story worth your life. And that is how, at the end of the day, we shall be in position to solely be safe, most especially during this period. Now, Mr. Robert Kirenga, the Executive Director, that is of NCHRIDU, commended journalists and human rights defenders who have stood firm in seeking justice. And that is what we are seeing. Now, journalists have been harassed, beaten, arrested while covering campaigns and elections. And Mr. Ashraf Kasire is one of those journalists known for covering an opposition leader, Robert Chagulanyi, who also encountered a lot of challenges and was shot in the head by security forces in Masaka during a campaign trail that was in 2020, where he survived also but sustained serious injuries. Just like Kasiri, as we are heading to close to 2026, we may be the next victims, but how ready are we for all the challenges? And our reminder to police is that we're not enemies. We're not going to be your enemies. We are working towards also making sure that these elections are, first of all, transparent, and then secondly, they are free and fair. So that is also where we want also not to see you as also our enemies. Many of times, I don't know why it happens, journalists become enemies to men in uniform. You don't really wonder why. And yet journalists are also working for the same cause. And 2022 Uganda Human Rights Commission annual also report on the state of human rights and freedoms in Uganda revealed that the highest also number of complaints of human rights violations registered by the commission were against the Uganda police force. This is what we are seeing happening, and what can police do to also make sure that that image, that perception is also really out, because they have to do something when it comes to cleaning their image and their reputation, most especially amongst the members of the public, because that is exactly what we have been able to know and also identify police for. But what does that mean is what exactly Uganda police force must also be able to interest themselves in finding measures of ending those also vices is what also I want to also make up as a call, and that is to police and other men in uniform, that is the UPDF, Uganda prisons, and others also in there, to make sure that as we are getting closer to 2026, nothing bad should be happening to journalists, because journalists are not working against them. Journalists are working for the right cause of informing the Ugandans, and that is how we shall be seeing their safety ahead of that period. Now, leaving the story aside, 7,000 business owners sue KCA over evictions. And that's what we're seeing. Remember, Kampala Capital City Authority has always had challenges. At one time where we did see the top bosses being fired over this Daisy incident, now we are seeing them being dragged to court over illegal, what we call illegal evictions. Very much also really difficult, and they don't understand the Kampala Capital City Authority could be going through a lot. Now, about 7,000 business people who were also in 2014 evicted by the Kampala Capital City Authority for illegal operating on a railway stretch, that's from Kampala through Natete to Narukolongo, have also petitioned the Land Division of the High Court in Kampala seeking damages, and that is exactly what we are seeing now. In 2014, the KCA, while working with also the police, evicted hundreds of businesses started on the railway line, that's in the industrial dimension stretch, for allegedly also really operating illegally, and the business also evicted were mostly kiosks and makeshift shops that were evicted. Among these also evicted is Noah Onyango, who had business solely on the railway line, that's Narukolongo, which included a video hall, shops and rentals that were evicted also in there. Now he records that Kampala Capital Authority destroyed bulldozers to put down his structure, which left him in loss. And Mr. Onyango also say, Mr. Onyango's business also was at the time registered under the Tuegate Railway Vendors Association. And now he, alongside others whose property were destroyed, claimed to have also gotten permission from the Uganda Railways Corporation to operate the railway line, and that is how they also found it difficult to make sure that they also talk about these issues. But that is how difficult it is, and we hope at the right time this matter also will be also addressed. And that is how we shall be seeing it happening. However, after the eviction, Mr. So they reportedly reached out to Kampala Capital Authority for compensation, but got no response. Now, with no reply from Kampala Capital Authority, the close 7,000 business owners are now seeking court redress, by the way of which they were also really thrown out of business. And now they also went through their lawyers. Now through their lawyers, lots of Wakabala and company advocates, the affected business people, now want also really to be compensated more than 40 billion in compensation. Where will Kampala Capital Authority get this money from? Is also really what we are following on. Now, when reached the Kampala Capital spokesperson, Daniel Muhumuza, denied to comment on grounds that the matter is now before court. And this is exactly what we did see happening, and we are keenly following up on that matter. We want to see how, of course, it will be ending, and at the right time, I will be also in position to also let you know of what is coming out of, that is for the people of Natete, where we are seeing over 7,000 people demanding for damages of 40 billion, that is by Kampala Capital City Authority, for the losses they encountered as they were thrown out way back in 2014. This is what exactly we are seeing happening, and we are saying justice should be also provided and must prevail. That is for all these people who are also demanding also the compensation also for their matters in there, and that is exactly what we are following up on and want to see how, of course, that will be also ending in there. And at the right time, we shall be also letting you know how this matter also will be also addressed in there. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening. In case you are just joining us right about now, this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, the first show of the day, starting off your day, and today is a bright morning. And really, I must assure that we are already into a dry spell. we have not been able to see rains. That means for those who have been waiting for this period, this is actually the time now where you can be also in position to now start laying your bricks, because many times people also want to use this period for making bricks. It is actually time that you can be able to sort of make that sure, and this is also where we are now not seeing any signs and symptoms of rain also coming. But that is also something which we are following up on, and of course we are now seeing also the prices of certain goods and commodities shooting up. But how ready are we for all this? That is exactly what we are seeing happening, and we shall be able to inform you of more of the details. For now, we are going to be taking a short commercial break that will be ushering us into the second hour of the show. I am Farish Majid. Stay tuned as I get back to you shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Unwrap your holiday cheers with Start Times this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. Star Times gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas. This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back. We are 4 minutes after 8 o'clock. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, and our final destination, of course, remains 9 o'clock. Now, in this hour, we are going to be looking at stories both at the national and international level, and above all, I will be summarizing the day with what's happening in the world of sports. Last night, we had games, and the men's night is back. And tonight, as well, we shall be seeing a number of games coming through. I'll be letting you know of some of those games that we played last night and their results, and some of those games that are as well coming tonight. I will be letting you know that later on as we get move on with the show. I really want to welcome you on board from wherever you're watching us from. Remember, the year is coming to an end. Now, police have said fireworks will only have to last for 5 minutes. This is exactly what we are seeing. And recently in Arua City, we are able to see the Indian community celebrating, and theirs was almost more than 5 minutes. What does this mean, and what is the reason for all this? This is where now also police will have to explain. But now information we are receiving that fireworks will only last for 5 minutes. That is how also they intend to make sure that this also does not go on in terms of destabilizing the country, because many of the times during this period also of fireworks, we tend to see a lot of bad things happening, as police have now issued guidelines to be followed by members of the public intending to display fireworks in different parts of the country, most especially during the festive season. Now, according to the police spokesperson, that is Mr. Kituma Risoke, those who intend to also display fireworks should apply and get approval from the Inspector General of Police. That is Mr. Abbas Biakagawa, and that is exactly what we are also wanting to follow. Now, we know that fireworks solely materials shall only be purchased from licensed vendors, and their display also shall be limited to only 5 minutes from the time of the first blast. That means those who are also going to be displaying, it's only going to be strictly 5 minutes. Now, Mr. Risoke revealed that the festive season also are usually characterized with excitement and what we call fanfare, and the police tend to register a spike in assaults, domestic violence, and house break-ins, burglaries, among other also cases that also are witnessed also within this period. Now, on the show, on the music shows, Mr. Risoke said that the organizers will be required to seek clearance from the IGP to jointly also plan for the security of their events, also with the district security and other regulatory authorities, plus stakeholders, also to make sure that this also is happening without charge. Now, additionally, also the host venues shall meet security requirements set by police and other regulatory authorities, such as having emergency exits, assembly points, as well as emergency firefighting equipment as a requirement also for those areas that would also wish to put happenings on the days, most especially on the 31st. This is where many people will come out because they want to see fireworks from their places, and this is also where now we are seeing many people already saving towards that period. And this is exactly what we are following up on, and we want to see how, of course, this will be ending in a manner that would also not cause a number of problems also for many people in there, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening. And that is exactly what we are seeing. Now moving to Bukedi, where we are seeing Bukedi farmers now abandon millet for overfailing market prices. Is another story at which we are seeing also happening on the morning papers. This is on the Monitor. But really, if at all, Bukedi, one of those areas that was known for producing millet, now leave planting the millet. What about those people who are diabetic? Most especially those people who are on diet. How are they going to be also impacted by this? I don't want to say this is going to be impacting on them negatively. Therefore, we must also make sure that this does not solely continue to happen. Now, millet for decades was the lifeblood of Bukedi sub-region, with vast also stretches or fields of the crop. However, it is now rare to find the crop which sustains generations of families. In the sub-region, also the millet is slowly disappearing, and the decline in production is attributed to also the prices over also which have also often dropped in there, and the issues of price disparities have therefore pushed many farmers also away from that. Mr. Arthur Wako Boise, an elder, an opinion leader, said millet was not just a crop, but it was part of the sub-region's cultural identity, and he explained that millet beer, brewed also from the grain, was served at gatherings, such as weddings and festivals, but today it is disappearing, and that means culture is also at the verge of collapse. That means the people of Bukedi sub-region will have to learn something also in terms of also making sure that they go back to their roots. And he further explained the decline in production of millet is threatening the culture of Bukedi, of course, and that's where we did see Mr. Joseph Kapule, a 50-year-old resident and farmer in Kachomo sub-county in Budaka district. I say we used to also eat millet daily, and we grew up also in eat ourselves. Now, mostly also now we eat maize or cassava flour, something also really which is different from also what we used to do. And Mr. Kapule also noted that the decline in growing of millet is associated with also the number of factors, including low yields, caused by also loss of soil fertility. And Mr. George Padere, another farmer, said also he prefers growing sorghum and cassava over millet due to its low demand. And Mr. Padere added that the reduced production of millet also means fewer opportunities for local businesses that once process the grain into flour and other products. Now the grain of millet flour is currently standing at 3,000 shillings per kilogram, and that is something also which we are seeing happen in Bukedi. But we want to see, of course, how or maybe this will be able to revive the growth of this crop. Now, Mr. John Watala, a health expert and also resident of Kamonkoli Town Council in Budaka district, say the organizations like also the National Agricultural Research Organization should devise means to revamp the growing of millet. And the executive director of NARO, Mr. Sadiq Kasim, has said they are developing also technology to reduce on labor and other costs involved in the growth of millet. And that is also something which they hope at the end of the day will also bring many farmers into growing this crop that was once identified with Bukedi. But today, slowly it is disappearing. And this is something also which I want to say is not only happening in Bukedi. Even in Arua here, areas of Andoparaka that we are known for growing millet today, we are seeing also them turned into residential areas. That means the crop is at the verge of collapse. But in Arua district recently, I was there. I must say many farmers are still growing it, and they must also continue doing it. So that solely we don't have this crop disappear. And that is where for those who also really deserve, who need it, most especially those who are dead, these elders, do not also really miss out on also this crop, because if you look at all that, then definitely it is going to be a challenge. And today we shall be moving to Kenya Ward. That is where we shall be expecting the parish development officials of Kenya Ward to have a meeting. That is the annual general meeting, which has failed for the 2 times. But today we want to see this happening, and this is at the proposed venue of Atarua Parents Primary School, where we want to see the annual report being presented. This is as far as how many people got the money from Kenya Ward. This is exactly what we shall be following up today. And we hope at the end of the day, this meeting will sit. And we want to see how, of course, it will be moving on. And that is how we expect issues, most especially irregularities within the parish development model distribution, be addressed. Because if you look at this program, this is a government program that is also aiming at eradicating poverty. But today, many people have also spoiled this program. Many people have not gotten this money. We are having in Kenya Ward issues of PDM for sex. These allegations, where some of these leaders are allegedly said to be asking for sex in exchange for these funds, in exchange also for people's names to be included. We are having issues of extortion. People are being asked for money, as alleged. So all these matters in Kenya Ward, we want to see them be addressed today. And today we want to see this meeting happening. And last time, these leaders claimed that they were not around, but today, we want to see the technical persons within parish development model disbursement in Kenya Ward be presented. We want to see them also present their report as far as this government program is concerned, because many people have missed out this money, and the vulnerable members today have not also gotten this money. And we also expect the leaders to ask those who got this money to also present what they have done so far. And those who have not eaten this money, yellow should be their home. Because this is a government program that is entirely meant to make sure that people change. It is something that government is bringing to make sure those people who are poor find something to do. But in Kenya Ward, you have issues of irregularities which are quite also overwhelming. And today we expect that. also to end. And this is where those involved must answer those questions that will be asked by those who got the money and those who are yet to get this money. We expect that dialogue to go on. And then we also expect these same people who have also been involved in the disbursement to also point out those who have gotten the money. And they must also answer and account what they have done with this money. Because if you look at 1 million, some people look at it as money that is too huge and they start eating it. Very much absurd, very much difficult. But today, we shall be moving to Kenya Ward and to make sure that those who got the monies are able to account and those who are involved are able to account on whatever they have done when it comes to the disbursement of the funds. And as a requirement for the Paris Development Model, as always, the annual general meeting is a must. And this is exactly what we want to see also today. And that is how we shall be also following up on that matter. And we want to see how, of course, it will be ending. And this is where now in other parts we are still having challenges. In Masaka, we have seen 3 district officials have been remanded over PDM theft funds, also fund thefts. And that is exactly also what we are seeing as embarrassment. Has it happened in Arua? Have people eaten the money? We shall be finding out from Kenya Ward, which we also want to use as our case study. And now Masaka Magistrate Court has also remanded 3 individuals, including the Masaka District Focal Person for Party Development Model, over charges of neglect of duty and theft of PDM funds. Very much embarrassing. John Rogers Mutebi, John Bale, and John Matovu appeared before Masaka Grade 1 Magistrate, that is Joshua Tuongerwe, on Monday, where they will also read the charges of theft and neglect of duty of also related to Paris Development Model, and prosecution led by State Attorney Abraham Akande Akaho alleges that Mr. Matovu, the Masaka District Agriculture Officer, and the Paris Development Model for occupying person between 2022 and 2024 neglected his supervisory role in monitoring the activities and the progress of the PDM circles in Masaka District. And this failure allegedly led to significant financial losses for the circles, and that is how he landed himself in trouble. And both Mr. Mutebi and Bale were accused of stealing funds intended for the PDM circle that is sold in Bukakata sub-county, Masaka District, also between December 2023 and October of 2024. Now, prosecution further alleges that also in October 2024, at Bukimbonga village that's in Bukakata sub-county, Mr. Mutebi also stole shillings 50 million of Paris Model also from also a circle member, that is Mr. Moyo Sekabira, after promising to help him access what we call also PDM money. And in December also 2023, Mr. Bale in Makonzi village in Bukakata sub-county allegedly stole shillings 950 million in PDM funds from circle member, that is Godfrey Mukasa. And this is exactly what we did see happen. Now, Magistrate Tuongerwe also granted the prosecution's request and adjourned the case to December 23rd. This is when they will be appearing to court for the mention of their case. Now, the 3 suspects, remember in Ugandan law, you are guilty unless proven also before the courts of law. And once not proven guilty, you are still presumed to be innocent. That's why we are still calling them suspects. And now the 3 suspects, along with other district officials who are currently out on bond, were arrested during a joint inspection tour to address service delivery, also gaps, and also our community baraza in Greater Masaka District and City on November 23rd of this year. And the tour was led by Rose Lilia Akelo. The State Minister for Ethics and Integrity led to also the arrest of the several district and city officials following accusations of broader gross abuse of office, corruption, and other misconduct cases. Now, locals raised concerns about extortion by civil servants, the irregular sale of government land, and allocations of private developers, inflated school enrollments, and the poor construction of government schools, among other issues, as factors affecting, that is the the city in there. And these are the same issues happening also in the different parts of the country. And these are also areas where we have also been able to see all that happening. And many people also have been able to also ask questions about that. But we expect also at the right time, we shall be seeing also this also happening. And this is also something which I want also at the end of the day, also inform you of as we get to move on with the KOKOLIRIKO live show. This is still the morning show with me, Farish Majid, and our final destination, of course, remains 9 o'clock. And after 9 o'clock, that's when Afeta Emmanuel will be coming through with the early news bulletin. And thereafter, we find also the Northern Request Hour with the Olivia UG, DJ Jero, where they will be playing for you songs from Northern Uganda, where you also, as the viewer, can also have an opportunity, but one Northern Uganda song that you want to listen to, and all that is happening on the Northern Request Hour. And of course, that will also be ushering you into the Nebangaya News Bulletin with Fancy, and thereafter, the Street Talk also will be following as planned in there. And that is how the day will be continuing. Remember, the day we shall also be climaxing with the Kelele show with Scovia. That is on the night in there, and that is exactly what we also have on board for you as the viewer. Remember, as the year is coming to an end, definitely it should be also coming up also as a result of excitement. And also there's something good for you, but the question is, how is it coming on to an end on your side? What have you done, and what do you intend to do? These are the questions that we must also be able to ask ourselves. And during this period, we always witness a number of issues. Yesterday, I took a time to walk through the hawker market. The numbers are overwhelming. Families are shopping, and during this period, I want to remind them that we have the Kumbulu boys. They're already on the streets. We have the pickpocketers who are already in the streets. So let's be vigilant. Let's keep our money safe. If we can also do what we call e-transactions, and then that is well and good, because during this period, we have tendencies, and over the years, we have had challenges solely of people being stolen and people also being robbed of their monies by these thieves who are also on the streets. And this is also the period where they come up on streets to also take advantage of these people who do not understand their tricks. So my humble appeal is that let's avoid moving in dark corners. Let's move where the people are. Let's avoid congested areas as well. Because the congested spots are actually where these people are going mixing. And I was in Hoka yesterday. My observation was that many people are already doing shopping ahead of the festive season. And that is also something which also we are seeing happening in relation to transport fares, where we're going to be seeing transport fares also increasing. Now the bus owners also storm transport ministry over badges. And if you look at the festive season, this is where we tend to witness a number of accidents. But really that is something which we pray shouldn't happen to us as we enter the festive season. Now a group of bus owners and drivers yesterday afternoon stormed the Ministry of Works and Transport, also calling for extension of deadline for acquiring what we call validated badges, and they want the ultimatum also issued by the ministry extended to 2 months from December 4th. And this is exactly what we are seeing also as also a number factor. Remember, the prices haven't gone up yet, and we did see also Mr. Sam Ogwal, a NISTA bus driver, advised that the Uganda reverse licensing system officers also office be handed over also the issuance of badges, rolled also speed up the action. And last week also we did see Minister of Works and Transport issue a notice to all bus drivers and also owners, compelling them to ensure that they get the badges before December 4th. And all this is also another developing story, and the ministry warned that also the failure to comply with these requirements constitute an offense not exceeding also 7 years upon conviction, as stipulated also in the section 42, subsection 2 of the Traffic and Road Safety Act, Cap 347. And on Thursday we did see that happening, and that was last week. We did see the Director also of Traffic and Road Safety directed for the mounting of checkpoints on different highways to also really enforce the requirements of badges to all bus drivers. Now a number of drivers have since been arrested, and their buses have as well been impounded, a process that also has inconvenienced passengers and bus owners during the first season when they anticipate to also get cash on profits. And Mr. Moses Baleka, the General Secretary of the National Union of Drivers, Cyclists, and also allied workers, threatened to mobilize his colleagues to go on strike. And if at all this is not done so, and they are requesting for this process to be extended by 2 months, that is from December 4th. And now bus owners get on loans, and bus owners get buses on loans, and we are also hoping to repay them during the period, but are now being also disrupted. And he also said in response, the Minister of Works and Transport Public Relations Work Officer, that's Miss Sarah Kataike, however, reminded them about the importance of the badges, to also have them, and that is how they also want to see all the bus drivers have these badges, and that is what exactly what we are hoping to also see be actualized within this period. Now, according to statistics from Uganda Bus Owners Association, it's indicated that also there are a total of 900 bus drivers in Uganda, but by yesterday, less than 500 bus owners, drivers had acquired these badges, and these badges are actually a requirement by the Ministry of Works and Transport to make sure that more of these drivers, before they bounce on this period, or the festive season, before they risk being arrested, they must also really make sure that they have the badges, and that is one of the requirements we did see being put forward before them as we are getting closer to the festive season, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening. But we're at the right time, this also will be addressed once and for all. My name is Farish Majid. In case you are just joining us right now, we are just left with about 5 minutes to 8:30, and this is where we are going to be taking a short commercial break, and that will be ushering us into the final half of the day's show. And this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show with me, Farish Majid. Our final destination, of course, remains 9 o'clock as we look at some of the stories that also happening. In our position, also, we're able to sing one chorus that is also for best to be released. That's something which will be happening, and we hope at the right time also we shall be seeing that matter also be addressed. But what do you think about that? Many times we have also been able to see that happening, but what exactly is happening as we also move on? That is what we did see, and we hope at the right time we therefore also will be able to also really look at some of those developments, and that would also really, at the end of the day, make sure that we also achieve what we also really want to also really see happening. As we get move on, remember we are just left with 4 minutes to wind up with this half of the hour, and that will be ushering us into the final half. That is from that's from 8:30 up to 9, where we are going to be looking at several issues. But as we get move on, this is where also we want to seek your opinions, and as the viewer, you also as well could share your thoughts and opinions with us. But that is entirely in your hands, and we hope at the right time you are also going to be doing so. And that is what we are also going to put our discussion aside with as we get move on. And many people are looking forward, and remember in Nyumba District on the 21st, there will be the annual cultural gala, which many people have been able to talk about, and many people have been anticipating, most especially those who belong to the culture, and this will be going down in Nyumba District. And this is exactly what we are also going following up on. Remember, all this is aiming at preserving and restoring the Ringa culture, and the preparation is already in high gear, as also we are going to be following up on this day. And many people, most especially those who belong to the Ringa tribe, have been able to also anticipate for this day, but the organizers have also told us that they are in preparations to make sure that this also moves on very, very much well in there. But we are keenly following up on, and recently I was able to see one in Teso. That means many people also organizing that. Recently we had the Alura community also having the cultural gala as well. All this is really something which I must say is quite good, because if you look at the African culture, due to modernity today, many people really are losing their identity, but through such initiatives, and then it's also going to be proper for them also to identify and also relate with their cultures, so that already nobody is left out of their cultures. And that is exactly what we also want to see happening, and that is exactly what we also which we are going to be following up on. And we hope at the right time also we shall be seeing that also possible, and that is what we are keenly following up on. We hope at the right time this is going to be possible. As we get move on, remember so many issues also happening, and this is where we are seeing people now anticipating and also making assessments of what exactly to do, and this is what we are keenly following up on. And as we get move on, in case you're just joining us right now, you're most welcome. Our final destination, of course, is 9 o'clock. In here, I will be letting you know of many other stories, many other developments that could happen in there. Meanwhile, that's where we are seeing about the riders in Ajumani district electing leaders after martial challenge. Now, a group of the riders in Ajumani Town Council, whose wives and fiancés have returned to their parents' homes for various reasons, also held elections yesterday morning to choose their leaders. And also, that's where we did see a group of the riders doing that also happening. Now these representatives will serve as contact points for organizing what we call social events such as football matches, pool also tournaments, and card games and other activities against what is called their married counterparts and other social groups. Now it remains uncertain whether the newly also elected leaders will also take steps to reconcile with their colleagues, as they are also that's as far as reuniting with their also estranged lovers and spouses in there. Now the election was reportedly conducted by the border stage that is in Awendere market in the Juman district in there. But now let's talk about borders. First of all, many people also look at borders as people who are romantic. I don't know how true that one is. Many people also claim that border riders have love, but we don't see many of them also lasting in relations. What could be happening, as we are seeing in the Juman district, where a group is also now focusing to also really organize games and also organize themselves to make sure that they also really live peacefully with their spouses. Because many border riders are today known as people who are involved in gender-based violence. If you move to Child Family Protection Unit, you will have many of the borders have cases of child neglect, because you find out the border rider is married but still goes out after producing child neglect, mbio, and at the end of the day, it is a report to police. So I think all these strategies are very much welcomed, and I must say are timely to also make sure they do not also have these issues. But my appeal to the border riders this period is that their safety on the road is very, very much critical and is very much crucial, and that is one thing also they must embark on and also make sure they work towards as we get move on with this period. And this is exactly what we would also wish to see the border riders working towards safety of their riders and passengers. First of all, issues of having efficient motorbikes, the brakes must be good. The side mirrors should always be there, and that is also to make sure that these border riders are safe on the road. And above all, wearing reflector jackets and helmets will be very, very much good for the border riders who are also employing a number of people in the industry, also that also accommodates a number of youths, most especially the boy child. And that is where, at the end of the day, if we want to see their safety, then they must ensure doing what I've told them. With that, we are going to be taking a short commercial break. When we get back, we are going to be taking a short commercial break. When we get back, we shall be summarizing the day with what's happening internationally and also really happening in the world of sports. The leagues are back, right from the regional leagues up to the international scene. I'll be letting you know what's happening in the world of sports in there. For now, we take a short commercial break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Unwrap your holiday cheers with Start Times this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. Start Times gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas. This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are heading to the final half of the day's show, and this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477 as on Star Times. We are as well on Zuku and Azam, that is on channel 369. That means if you are on any of these platforms, then there's no need for you to be worried, and you will be in position to watch us each and every mornings. That's from Mondays to Fridays. And you also as well can be able to watch us online across all our social media platforms, where you will be in position to watch us on Facebook. We are there on West Nile Television. On X, we are as well in there. On TikTok, you can still be able to sort of access us each and every day of the week, and that is how we also want to keep you very few minutes also to also let you know of what's happening. We did see Minister ordering arrest of livestock farmers grazing in Kalangala oil palm is another story which we are seeing this morning, and we hope at the right time also that this issue also will be addressed, and we hope this is something also which we intend to make sure that you as the viewer also is not left out of. Now the State Minister of State for Animal Industry, Lieutenant Colonel retired, that's Bright Rwamirama, has ordered the arrest and prosecution of livestock farmers grazing their cattle, that is in oil palm gardens owned by Oil Palm Uganda Limited in Kalangala district. Now in November 25th, letter dated also addressed to Mr. Fred Bada, the Kalangala District Resident District Commissioner, that is and RDC also in there, and Mr. Rwamirama has said that he received also information that herds of cattle are being ferried into Kalangala oil palm plantations owned by Opal from unknown also location without following government procedures for livestock movement. And this is exactly what the State Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Bright Rwamirama, was able to also warn the farmers of. And we hope as maybe as somebody who is also doing farming that side, most especially grazing, before you land in trouble, you must also make sure that you are therefore also following and in the know of what is making rounds in there. Now, available statistics from Ministry of Agriculture shows that Kalangala has 12,000 hectares of oil palm trees, of which 6,500 hectares belong to the investor, that is Opal. And now in an interview with Monitor on Saturday, Mr. Bada also confirmed receiving the ministerial directive, but called for a phased approach to ensure harmony, and that is exactly what we did see. And according to RDC, the management of Opal has on several occasions also complained that the cattle grazing disrupts the plantations, ecosystems, and also the other initiatives, and that is exactly what we have been able to solely see happening in there, and that is what we also hope at the right time also will be also addressed, and we also expect that this matter also we also want to see it go on. And available statistics at the District Natural Resource Office indicates that Kalangala has about 14,000 also already heads of cattle and 23,000 goats, and however the district has got no single islanders and considers them as having bad omen. Mr. Rajab Semakula, the Kalangala district chairperson, said current standoff between Opal management and livestock farmers stems from the historical use of the land currently occupied by oil palm plantations. And now before the establishment of oil palm, the plantation of the land was predominantly grassland used for grazing, and since there is limited alternative grazing areas, farmers have now been forced to graze in the plantations, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening in there. But this is something which we also have to interest ourselves in vis-a-vis before we get to throw this people out, because before we get to blame any party, we should be interested in finding out the historical activities in there and maybe what can be done to make sure that this does not happen, and that is exactly how difficult it is. And I can really confirm to you about 11,800 hectares of oil palm trees have so been planted. That's in Kalangala's main island, that's of Bugala, where the crop was introduced nearly 2 decades ago. Now the project recently started expanding to other islands, that is in Kalangala, such as Bunyama and Bubembe, where we're also seeing that in 2021. Another island, that is another island district of Buvuma, also embraced what we call oil palm growing, and more districts like Mayuge and Chotara have also since been considered under the second phase of the implementation of the project. And that is what we are seeing happening in that area. Also, when we talk about palm oil, it is actually having a high demand across the country, but we hope at the right time, this is something which would also wish to see many of the farmers embracing across the country in there. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening. And government players ought to work together. If you look at government and also the transport, also the players, we must also be able to see them work together. Recently, I was able to also take to you about a story where the bus drivers and bus owners have also issued issues of protest, where they also threatened to strike if at all they are forced to also have what we call those requirements for them to also be on road is implemented, because many of them have not been having this. And that is one issue which is happening now as the festive season also approaches. The government has also been urged to take immediate action to address the looming transport crisis, reported also really recently also in there. And the recent ultimatum was issued by the Ministry of Works and Transport, requiring all bus owners and drivers to acquire validated badges by December 4th of this year. And while good and well-intentioned, has also sparked chaos and confusion among the stakeholders. And this is exactly what we are seeing. And many of the bus drivers and owners who have been arrested recently also have issued stern warning of threatening also to strike. And this is something which we say is very much bad. I really want to say all the bus drivers should work towards having these badges, because these badges are in good faith. If you don't have the badges, then somebody may also enter the bus and cause accident. And these badges are first of all going to be also enabling monitoring of these bus drivers. First of all, we are doing this because we want to avoid issues of to and fro journeys, because many of the times we have had accidents as a result of fatigue. And the driver comes from Kampala, the whole night is traveling to Arua, and in the morning the same driver is going back to Kampala. This is where we find it challenging, and we have also had accidents as a result of fatigue, because as a person, definitely you need enough rest, and at one time you also need to rest. And that is why it is also coming up. And we expect this also to be done, and now the government's decision also to mount checkpoints along highways to enforce the badge requirements has resulted in the arrest of drivers and impounding of some buses, causing inconvenience to passengers and bus owners. And that's why many people have been asking government to work together with the transport players, and that will also at the end of the day make this issue realistic. And this is what we are seeing, and many of the bus drivers have often complained about the time, that this time has not been enough for them. And if you look at Uganda, we are having over 900 bus drivers, but out of this we are saying only about 500 of them have acquired the badges. What about the remaining numbers? That is why it becomes a challenge, but we are saying all this is something which we must also ensure to work towards, and therefore all the bus drivers should be in position to have also that. Now the concerns raised by Haj Munir Kayanja, the chairperson of Bus Owners Buganda region, are valid, and the similarities between the badge and driving permit also requirements are striking, and it's also illogical to require drivers to obtain separate documents within a short period of time. And many drivers have also been basing their arguments on the fact that they have the driving permits. Now additionally, they are required to have also the badges. So what does that mean? Where does this leave them at? Is another question solely where bus owners have been able to ask themselves, because their drivers are having the licenses, the permits, but now they are also required to have an additional badge. And what does that mean? Don't you think that these two are the same? And don't you think this is also going to be manipulating the drivers? This is something also which entirely government should be able to sort of have a thought on. And now, in light of these challenges, we urge government to extend the deadline to acquiring also the validated badges by a week, to allow the drivers also really streamline and find ways of obtaining them. And that's exactly what we did see the bus drivers also calling upon and asking government also to do. Now the government must harmonize these documents to simplify the process and reduce the burden on drivers. Now equally so, the government should have done this several months ago, because the drivers have been on the road anyway. This is where the bus owners have also been able to sort of ask. Now furthermore, the enforcement of the badge requirements also should be extended to all forms of passengers service vehicles, among others, which include taxis, to ensure level playing field and enhance road safety. And now, to address the current backlog, the Ministry of Works and Transport must increase its manpower to process the badge applications. This will help reduce the congestion and the frustration experienced by the drivers and the bus owners. And in Uganda, you know, when they always say something is for registration, many people do not feel happy about it because they know their queues are going to be long. And this is where they find it difficult. But this time around, we expect that this should also be the case, and we want to see how, of course, this process will be expedited and must also be timely, so that all those who need the badges will be in position to get them. And now police reports over the past years have shown that road accidents are highest during festive seasons, and the causes are majorly also attributed to also the drivers. And many times the vehicles are in poor mechanical conditions, and the drivers have no permits, are also fatigued, and that is why they also find it very much difficult sometimes to avoid falling victims of these accidents. And that is why these issues are being mounted, most especially during this period. Now, so we ask the government and the drivers to also work together and obtain these requirements prescribed by the Ministry of Works and Transport. And this is what many people have been able to ask. And we expect this also to be done so that many of these drivers who are also really able to also do what they want to do also cannot be able to be left out. And that is what we are therefore also calling upon. I mean, this is something which many drivers, remember, have not taken well, and that means they also must harmonize this. And government also must have a meeting with them to harmonize some of those issues, and so that no driver is left out as we get to also move on within this festive period. Because the festive season is always characterized by high numbers of accidents, and that is exactly what we have been seeing, and we hope at the right time this also will be addressed. And this is what we are seeing happening, and we hope at the right time all the drivers will be safe on these roads, and this safety goes back to all. Leaving that discussion aside now, looking at what's happening internationally, we're just left with about few minutes to wind up with the day's discussions. In India, we are seeing Netanyahu also assails media as he testifies for the first time in his corruption trial, and that's exactly what we are seeing, where Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the witness stand for the first time on Tuesday in his long-running corruption trial, saying he was being hounded for his hawkish security policies. Netanyahu, who is 75-year-old, is Israel's first sitting prime minister to be charged with a crime, and is testifying at the same time Israel is engaged in war in Gaza and facing possible new threats posed by the regional turmoil, including in Syria, and that is what we are seeing. And last week, judges ruled that Israel's Netanyahu indicated that in 2019 must testify 3 times a week, forcing also the long-time Israel leader to jump also between the courtroom and war room, also at Israel Defense Ministry, and minutes away from the courthouse. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening in Israel, in India. That's something in Israel, so that's something also which we feel people must also be able to learn from. And that is one thing also which many of these heads of states should also be able to learn from. Now he took the stand also for about 4 hours and will resume testifying on Wednesday. Twice his military secretary handed him written messages, and the first time also requiring a recess and underscoring his also having to double his duty as the prime minister. Now the leader of also the right-wing Likud party, Netanyahu, assailed the Israel media also for what he called leftist stance, and accused journalists of having also hounded him for years because his policies did not align with the push of the Palestinian state, and that is exactly what we are seeing. But I don't know why many times in these initiatives journalists become also a target. I don't know why it's happening so, but in most times it is journalists that become also the enemies to these leaders, and that is what we are seeing happening. That's in Israel, but we hope at the right time this matter also will be disposed, and therefore these people will also have peace, and that matter should also be put aside as we get to see that happen. Remember, in Israel we are still having issues where Israel is still having war in Gaza, where that is also something which we are seeing happening. But really, how do we see that happening, and how maybe shall we see an end to what is happening in relation to that? And that is also where it becomes very, very much challenging for each and every person involved also in there. And that is what also maybe how it becomes difficult, most especially for those who are also in those countries involved in that war. And that is what we are going to pose in our discussions. And we hope at the right time also we shall be continuing the discussion. And with that, we are going to be stopping here. And we hope at the right time also more details of some of those issues will be coming through. And up next is the Areas and News Bulletin with Fete Manuel. I don't want to say most of the programs will be following. And that's why you must continue watching West Nile Television. And after here, we shall be having Areas and News Bulletin with Fete Manuel, who is already here. That will be ushering us into the Northern Request Hour. Remember, it's a Wednesday. And thereafter, we shall be seeing also the Street Talk with MC Sad and the Lebangaya News Bulletin as well, and many other interesting programs that will be following in the due course of the day. With that, I want to stop here, and I really want to say thank you so much to you who watched us right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. Have a blessed day, and we shall be bouncing back tomorrow. I'm out.